Hi, welcome to the overview video for SalesTracker. We're going to show you the key features and teach you how to use it so you can be up and running as quickly as possible. SalesTracker was a joint project between Solve Sales and Cash Flow Engineering, and we built SalesTracker to address the problem that a lot of our clients have of easily tracking and reporting on the key marketing and sales numbers that allow you to diagnose and solve your sales problems. In particular, we wanted to make SalesTracker really simple so you'll actually use it. We want to make it really easy for you to follow up with leads on a weekly basis. And I guess the key feature of SalesTracker is the cool reporting that you get right out of the box, that allows you to track those key sale numbers, and it also has self-diagnosis built in. So let's jump right into the three main tabs you'll use in SalesTracker and show you how to use it. The first tab is the Leads tab. Now, in the world of SalesTracker, a lead is defined as someone that has contacted you to potentially do business with you. It is not meant as a list of prospects that you're going to go cold call or cold email. It doesn't necessarily mean that these people are qualified, but if someone contacts you by phone, email, however, and says, hey, I'm interested in potentially doing business with your company, in the world of SalesTracker, that's considered a lead. It's live. And so when you come in here, I'm going to minimize my screen really quickly so you can see that each lead is all tracked on one line. So there's not multiple screens and things like you have in a lot of other CRM systems or customer relationship management systems. Everything's a single line tracking, so it makes it really easy, which also makes it easy to do your follow-ups, which we'll show you in a moment. But I'm going to go zoom back in here a little bit so we can go over each of the columns and you can understand what they are. First of all, you'll notice in each column there's a note which tells you exactly what the column is. So if you're not sure or you don't have this video handy, you can just read those notes here and it'll tell you exactly what you're supposed to enter. So first of all, when a new lead comes in, you have a drop down here, and we just use a simple system. They're either, when they're new, they're active, meaning they're live, you need to follow up with them. Closed means you won the deal, and dead means there's no reason to follow up anymore. You've closed them out dead. Next, you can put whether they're new or existing. So if it's a totally new lead from a new company you've never done business with, or a new person if you don't sell to companies, or if it's an existing client that you're doing an upsell or renewal, you can put that here or note that here. All these drop downs you can customize on the Customize tab, which we'll show you in a few minutes. You can also have multiple reps or sales reps use the same sheet if you want. You can put their names in here and go from there. Now, when it comes to the reporting, the lead date here in column D is really what kicks off all the reporting. So there, if you double click, there's a little calendar here, so you can just put in the date. That's the date that the person first contacted you, not necessarily the date you spoke to them, but the date the lead came in. You can type in the date as well. You don't have to use the little calendar if you don't want. Some of these fields are optional. They don't necessarily affect the reporting. So if you want to put the deal name or the person's name or the company's name in here, you can do that. You can have their website here if you need that for reference. This is not meant to be a database or a place to store your contacts per se. You should do that in a real CRM system, like a Salesforce or something like that. But if you're going to use this to follow up with leads, you can certainly come in here and type in people's names very easily in these little note fields. Also, we have notes here, so what I typically like to do is just sort of type in a date, 8/15, 16, and then I just put a note, sent email, whatever it is. So you can just kind of have a running list here of your notes. Very easy to use. Next, we have lead type. This is where we start to get into the marketing tracking. So you've got drop downs here, and you can customize these, as I'll show you in a minute. Lead type refers to sort of the high level category. Was it a web lead or a referral? Did it come from some sort of speaking presentation that maybe you did, or a trade show? But it's the high level categorization, and you can again customize these to whatever you want. The next level is the lead source. It might be thought of as the campaign level. So if you had a website lead, but it came from Facebook, versus say Google advertising. Or if you do multiple trade shows, you might name each different trade show, and that's sort of that lower level campaign tracking. Next, we want you to put in the date that you had your first meeting with them. So they might have sent you an email form on some date, and that was the lead date. And then you're going to follow up with them and have a discovery meeting or a free session or a consultation or however you do your sales process. So that date goes here. It also has a little calendar you can use. After that first meeting, you're going to determine using whatever criteria you use in your business to determine whether someone's qualified or not, or a lead is qualified. You just have a drop down here. It's a simple yes or no question. If someone never makes it to a first meeting because you tried to follow up with the lead and they just went dead and you never actually had a first meeting with them, they're by default not qualified. Then you want to track the date you actually made a proposal, which could be the same date as the first meeting, or it might be after a series of multiple meetings. But eventually you'll quote a price and services, and you put that date in column M here. Then, if you like, you can track the the amount of money that you proposed for whatever services that you were offering, and the probability of closing. Then what closes the lead in terms of the tracking of these two columns here, you put in the close date, so the date they actually signed the contract, whether that was for a new customer or an existing upsell or renewal. You put that date in here. That'll automatically populate this sales cycle column in months. It'll tell you how long it took you to close that deal from the date the lead started to the date you closed it. And then you'll put in the actual amount that you sold, which might be different than what you originally proposed. Could be higher, could be lower. If you do monthly recurring revenue, you can put in the monthly number or the total contract value. If you want, you can play around with that, whatever fits your business. Over here we've got some optional categories if you want to track the reasons you lost deals, so you can eventually improve your sales process. If you keep getting the same complaint or keep losing deals for the same reasons, you can make those adjustments. And then if you work with people over time and it's not sort of a one-shot project deal, you can put in the end date. So if someone's stuck around for 6 months or a couple of years, you could put the end date in here, and that'll calculate the total life cycle, and then you will put in the total amount of money that they paid you over the entire time you did business with them to get those sorts of calculations there. So you can see it's pretty easy. I mean, when a new lead comes in, you're not even going to have all this information. So a new lead is as simple as, active, filling out a couple of fields. It takes you 30 to 60 seconds and you're up and running. And all the data that you put in this one line populates the dashboard, which is the real magic of SalesTracker. So what you'll notice at the top, first of all, is you can look at the data. All these charts will update automatically by all time or each individual year as you go forward. I'm just going to do a quick overview of each of the charts, but there's some self-diagnosis buttons that I'll show you in a moment that will explain them. First, you just have your KPIs, or your key performance indicators, those sort of top level stats that you really need to be paying attention to. How many leads are you getting per month? How many are making it to a first meeting? How many of them are qualified? And then proposals, how many did you get out the door? And then how many deals did you close as a raw total by month? And then the actual revenue. Over to the right here, we have the same KPIs, same key performance indicators, but we're showing you averages for each month. So that gives you a sense to start to calculate how many leads you might need to hit your sales targets. The next level down, we have our sales process conversion rate analysis. And this is where we're showing you your conversion rates through each step of the sales process. So the first chart here shows you out of the total number of raw leads that you closed. Let's say you had 10 leads and you closed 4 of them, you'd have a 40% close ratio. The chart over here to the right, qualified closed, is the same sort of calculation, but it's not taking into account total number of leads. It's only calculating your close rate as it relates to qualified leads, so it excludes all the people that were never qualified. And anyway, what we're doing here is we've got each of the steps. So how many of the leads made it to the first meeting? How many of those were qualified? How many of that were qualified did you get proposals to? And how many of those proposals did you close? So we're calculating all the different ratios here in your average sales cycle. And this is where you can start to diagnose where you're having problems. So if you're getting a lot of leads but very few of them are ending up being qualified, then you know you have a marketing problem. If you're getting lots of qualified leads and you're making proposals but you're not closing a lot, then maybe you have a sales presentation issue. Each of these charts, as you'll see here, has a diagnosis button. If you hover over it, it gives you insights into what the chart is tracking. So if you're not sure what any of them mean, it'll tell you here, and it will also give you some suggestions of what the numbers might mean so you can start to self-diagnose your problems. If you need more help, of course, you can contact our companies and we can consult with you and coach you on how to improve any of these numbers. The next level down is where we get into the marketing analysis. So here we've got the leads by type. Where are your leads coming from? Again, by type, and by that lower level, campaign level, by source. Then we're tracking the number of deals by lead type and lead source. And all these charts will update once you customize the drop downs that we showed you earlier. Total revenue by lead type, and then total revenue by lead source. These charts are really important because you might have a marketing source that generates tons of leads. Like maybe you get a ton of website leads, but you don't close a lot of them, whereas you get very few referrals or leads from, let's say, speaking presentations. But you close a much higher percentage of them, or you make more revenue from those types of leads. So this is really important so that you don't chase the wrong marketing tactics. And then finally at the bottom here, as you enter data, these charts will update. There's actually a speedometer chart for each of the different lead types and lead sources, and these are showing the averages instead of the raw numbers. And again, there's some diagnosis buttons down here. So that's the dashboard, and the last tab is the customize tab, and this is populates those drop downs. If you have a more complicated sales process or you want to designate the status of each lead differently, you can do that. All you have to do is highlight, type in the field, and it will automatically update the columns on the leads tab. Same thing with sales reps, lead type. You can customize any of these as well as your lead source. So that is SalesTracker in a nutshell. If you have any additional questions, certainly contact us. And we hope you enjoy SalesTracker, and look forward to speaking with you and helping you improve your sales.